chat. I watched the best, the worst, and the most disappointing film of 2025, so yeah, we're gonna talk about it. Shall we? What if you take the premise of 9 to 5 but make it extremely offensive and have no likable characters at all and you get horrible bosses? This movie had a couple funny moments, namely with Jamie Foxx. His character was fantastic, but overall it was just an unlikable watch. And yeah, Kevin Spacey's in that. And Kevin Spacey in a movie now, kind of uncomfortable. This movie is aptly titled. Literally, it is a rebirth of the first film. But there really is no point at all, though. Like, genuinely, this felt like one of the most pointless sequels I've seen in a long time. Like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but at least the Chris Pratt Jurassic movies had some attempt to separate themselves from the original. Going the legacy sequel route by the end, but at least they felt like they intended something to have a purpose. This movie didn't even attempt to have a purpose. The script is devoid of any emotion. There's better acting out of a cardboard cutout, product placement that literally stops the film, and sequences literally ripped out of the original, just not done any better. The film looks good, but in terms of Gareth Edwards, this is his weakest film visually compared to his other works like The Creator or Godzilla. There's nothing new or fresh in terms of the look of this movie. Social commentary about big pharma and climate change feel like an afterthought, and nothing is fleshed out enough to make this worth anything. James Gunn, I trusted you. And you absolutely succeeded. Superman is a fun time, visually stunning, well acted, charming, and understands exactly what it wants to be while maintaining a good feeling of positivity and kindness that is missing from other iterations of this character. Cough, cough, nudge, nudge. James Gunn does overstuff his scripts, and this is no exception. But when the film is overstuffed with things that I generally enjoy, I really don't care. The movie just put a smile on my face, and that's really all that matters. And that's all I'm going to say about it, because the discourse around this movie is so needlessly toxic. This is likely going to be my film of the year for me. This is the best movie of the year. Aster completely understands the time we are living in. He depicts a general breakdown in communication leading to horrifying consequences so well, using the fictional town of Eddington, New Mexico, to show how people are simply just reduced to their performative politics while the corporations win sneakily in the background. I love how this film sets up this big divisive issue at hand, the town using reservation and their land to build a massive tech industry plant in the area, and then just put it in the background. And no matter how divided people's politics are in the film, there's never a question that the technology plant was going to be made, and yeah, they succeeded. Eddington expertly uses the Wild West genre and pushes a modern edge to it, using the West as a symbol of discourse on social media, and how general paranoia with each other during a time of great isolation, where we have no choice but to live online, leads to a massive downward spiral. And that is why it is the film of the year and the definitive movie of the 2020s. This film was a fun time. It has a charming lead and overall it's a cute story, but my god, I hate Noah Centineo. This character is one of those characters that just completely drags down the movie. He is one of those clear bad choice guys in rom-coms, yet they attempt to give him some likability that just never works, and the more they attempt, the less I'm interested. Cut out his character and you have a pretty fun rom-com on your hands. Okay, it is time to rant, but then again, I kind of knew what I was getting into. This is the worst film of 2025, and likely, I don't think anything else will top it, except for that War of the Worlds movie with Ice Cube in it. But I'm not going to watch that one. I'm just going to talk about this. Let's talk about the story on this one and the entire franchise as a whole, I guess. Basically, it's a small summer beach town, sort of like the one in Jaws, where a group of friends witness and contribute to a massive accident that leaves someone killed, but they're able to cover it up. Then they all come back the next summer and mysteriously get terrorized by someone who knows what they did last summer. Whoa, is that why they call it that? Jeez. The premise alone is very dumb. You'd have to make the accident extremely horrible, as it literally is the driving point of your film, yet this 2025 remake just sort of glosses over it like it's nothing. It's sort of just a blink and you miss it moment with no tension, no build-up, and no payoff, which I don't know, that's like filmmaking and storytelling 101, build-up and payoff is how you engage your audience. The rest of the film is a basic mystery, yet the killer seems more hell-bent on playing basic pranks and just shows up without any real payoff, and the mystery isn't that fun. You can clearly tell who the killer is versus who isn't based on how each character is introduced in the beginning. Obviously, the one who is least involved with the group at the time of the accident is the one that's doing the killing. The worst part about this, though, is the script. Like, I'm an old soul. I literally got diagnosed as an old soul by a doctor last year. Despite all my time I've spent on TikTok, I hate the slang, I hate the talk, and I hate people who sound chronically online. And holy shit, this movie feels like it was written by TikTok. Madison Klein's character is an embodiment of chronically online that I did not find dumb, I just found terrible. I hated every choice, every decision in this movie. There's a basic lack of tension, buildup, and payoff. The legacy sequelness of it all feels more like an afterthought. But the worst of it all is the film presents a direction that could have been interesting only to kill off any sort of tie to that idea. There is a true crime podcaster in the film, and I feel like it would have been interesting to see a film make comments on humanity's obsession with true crime by having this character make a true crime podcast of the events of the original film. That would have separated this film from the original. That would have been a good use of the legacy sequel idea that we haven't seen before, and it would have been a cool meta commentary. But they don't go that route. They just make a lazy reboot instead. I hated every choice, every character, and once the film killed off the only good thing about it so early, I was checked out. Cringe comedy is hard to pull off. It is especially hard to pull off when you focus more on the cringe of it all and not the endearing awkwardness of their characters. While there are some okay moments in 27 Dresses and a good central message, the film focuses on cringe comedy, and that's its downfall. This movie is the biggest disappointment of the year. The fact this movie came and went, and not even 2 weeks later I forgot I watched it, says something. The only thing taking risks in this thing is the visual style. The 60s production design, costuming, and references in a retro-futuristic vision make for a different Marvel experience, yet it feels very hollow. I wish the film would have treated its setting and community as a character itself, almost how New York was in Raimi's Spider-Man movies. It makes no sense how they pour so much effort into the look and feel of the 60s and go absolutely nowhere with it. This is the best version of these characters on screen, though, period. They all have great chemistry with each other, clear standouts being Joseph Quinn and Vanessa Kirby. Ebon Moss-Bachrach, though, is my favorite as the Thing. Pedro Pascal is good, but he's probably the weakest part of this movie in my opinion. Yet all these characters, despite their strengths and likability and chemistry, lack any real substance or arc, because the main problem with this thing is, well, the movie's just incomplete. This movie feels like it was edited by a guy hopped up on coke and had a goal to make sure there was no fat on this movie. There isn't any fat on this thing, and to the film's credit, it was never boring. But they also cut out a lot of meat. Emotional moments are inserted and feel like check marks rather than staying long enough to sit with the audience and have the audience digest it. Story beats don't feel large and grand because something will change within the next 2 minutes of a massive story beat. Vanessa Kirby's Sue Storm had good moments, but there's no breathing room for her character that makes her feel more like a cheap emotional device rather than a real human being. Thunderbolts, for all of its editing clunkiness, at least made sure that its characters and environment felt lived in. I was emotionally invested in that film because it took the time for us to sit a little with what happened on screen. This movie felt like scrolling through TikTok, scrolling from scene to scene when something might get slow, tonally feeling emotional whiplash, and in the end, forgetting most of what I just watched. There's a golden sequence here that happens in space with a black hole that's breathless, and the only character and storyline that stuck with me was the Silver Surfer. The score is good, there is a good movie here, but there's so much meat cut off that all you left is a hollow bone of a film. This movie is very funny and surprisingly extremely smart. The script is witty, the premise and connections to old literature like the Scarlet Letter and applying the themes and messages from a story of the 1800s to today to hold a mirror up to society and how we have not changed much is a really fun idea and very thought-provoking. I don't know, don't count this one out. What appears to be a harmless teen comedy is surprisingly a very smart movie with expertly inserted comedy in a style that is engaging and fun. fuck. You're telling me that this movie is just a guilt trip? Man, that is just so awesome. Ari Aster makes an extremely disturbing, emotionally investing, surprisingly funny tale about a man whose anxieties literally become real and haunt him. A really good use of surrealist filmmaking here, heightening every moment of tension and suspense and comedy, and it's all blended so well. Similar to Eddington, Together uses the body horror genre to its absolute advantage here to explore themes of codependency and relationships, and the film is so smart for doing that. The first two acts of this movie are both extremely disturbing, fun, charming, and entertaining all at the same time. I love the way the camera moved, feeling like it's attached to these characters, and moves with them as the couple slowly becomes attached to each other. The film does kind of fall apart in the end for me though, not for the ending itself, which I think is really smart, but the idea to include a cult in the film I feel like is very lazy and uninteresting, and they use this to explain everything that's happening throughout the film, and that story beat did take me out. But overall, this is a very good film, and the first of its kind, a romantic horror movie. And yeah, that is what I watched this month. Hope y'all liked it. Please like it. I got nothing, please, or else I have to start touching grass again. Okay. I'll see y'all in the next one. Okay, bye.